Well, awesome. I'm here with Notre Dame's starting goalie on the women's side. It's Lilly Callahan. Lilly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lilly, I'd love to hear the story of the first time you jumped into goalie. Remember that?
Yeah, I was just talking about with my mom the other night about it, going back and thinking about it. So started. I was a little late to the game. Eighth grade is kind of when I started playing.
Oh, wow.
Started in town, just like everyone. You needed a goalie, and I wasn't the quickest person on the team, so kind of naturally fell into that role, and I just loved it from the start.
Interesting. So you started at eighth grade, which is
Yeah.
relatively late when you think about like a Division I athlete. A lot of young goalies email me like, "Hey, I'm in eighth grade. Can I still make it?"
Yeah,
And I always say like, "Yeah, absolutely."
definitely.
Look at Lilly Callahan. I don't say that to them now. I will.
Yeah, yeah. No, I always tell people it's never too late to start. I was definitely a little late to the game, but the rule being pushed back to junior year, right around my time, could not have been better for me because you get more time to develop and really learn how to be a good goalie and get a chance to play in high school before you look in college. And yeah, so I think starting eighth grade definitely a little bit behind, but that's not a reason to not want to play in college later on. And I think it was great.
Yeah. So when you first jump into goal, how was it?
Yeah, definitely a little scary at first, but I think at that point, you just got to focus on the ball. And I think I really just tried to make the most out of that time and think of if I could just save one shot right now, that would be a win. And, I made a few more saves than just one. And my coach actually texted my parents that night, being like, or the rest of the season, I'm not making her go and goal. Like she's choosing to go. I hope, I'm not forcing her to do this. But it was awesome. Good way to start. And then the year after, I started playing club, which is great too. Kind of get more experience playing and more tournaments and things like that.
Sure. That is a great mindset for a brand new goalie. Like if you're just starting out, like just go in there and try and make one save, right? Because then you're always just
Exactly.
focused on that next shot. You give up a goal, fine. I'm just trying to make one save. I think that's a really cool mindset. I've never heard that before.
Definitely, yeah. One shot at a time. Keep it as simple as possible because our job can be difficult at times. But if you just remember, just watch the ball. This one shot in front of you is what's important right
Yeah. So I guess you made a save in that very first game, and you're
now.
like, got a taste of what lacrosse goalie was all about, and you were hooked. What was it about the position
Definitely.
that you like so much?
I feel like it's such a leadership role on the field and you get such a different angle from everyone else. And I always go back to like making that save. The feeling's just so indescribable. It's just like you get all of this emotion and just excitement. And I don't think there's really another spot on the field that's like that. And I also think the adrenaline rush is just awesome. kind of un can't really do that anywhere else.
It is an amazing thing making a save, right? It's such a good feeling.
Yeah.
Even like I don't know, even just the stick side high, from 12 yards out, like the ones you're supposed to make. Even when you do make those saves, and all your teammates are like, "Wow, great save!" You're like, "I love this. This is
I'm like,
amazing."
I just stood there. They hit me. Yeah. But no, a save's a save. No matter how pretty it is at the end of the day, if you make the stop, that's all that matters. It doesn't say on the stat sheet what type of save or anything like that. It's just the save that matters.
It doesn't. You're right. A save,
Yeah.
100% is a save. Whether it, like you said, whether it hits you in the helmet or you drive your hands across the
Yeah.
top, across your face, and make a beautiful off stick high save. Save is
Hmm.
absolutely a save. So, I love that. But how did you then? So you grew up in Massachusetts, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How did you go about learning how to make saves? Did you do
Hmm.
camps? Was there like some coaches you worked with? Did your club team have something going on?
Yeah, definitely. So, definitely a mix of things. I mean, my club team was awesome. I played for Mass Elite, so a lot of coaches there that helped me out, especially in the beginning. But also, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of like goalie coaches in my life, specifically working on like technique, which I feel like is hard to find in some cases, but obviously it's growing now, which is awesome. But I had a couple of town coaches that were goalies in the past. One of my coaches was a guy, he played goalie in college at the guys' side, and he was awesome. Taught me a lot about footwork and more technical skills, which I think is an awesome way to have your foundation. So then as you grow athletically, you always have that technical skill behind that too.
Yeah, that's so you're so fortunate that you're able to get that because there are a lot of
Yeah.
goalies that don't have that, and And so that's what I do a lot with Lax Goalie Rat is, try to put out some of that coaching for goalies that don't have that. So you at least have something you can use and take with you out on the field. And
Totally.
it helps. It helps. They
Anything
tell,
helps. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I was going to ask, so you're a tall goalie, 6 foot. Yeah.
Yep.
Did
Yes.
that, and so tall for obviously for women's game, and even I'd say tall for a men's goalie, but
Definitely.
how did that factor in to your style of play? Did it factor in at all, or were you just playing like the other girl goalies that perhaps were not as tall?
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely think it had something to do with just my technique and style of play. Obviously, I've been working on bounce shots my entire life. Just being a taller goalie, high shots were just more my strength in general because of my size. But
Mhm.
the way I sit down and getting my hips really like a little bit lower on certain shots and things like that. So I definitely always have in the back of my head of being aware that people are probably going to shoot low on me if I'm a tall goalie, but I can't let that distract me too much. So definitely lots of low practice and lots of hip strength and things like that.
Yeah, that is true. A lot of folks think that the tall goal, like the rap on the tall goalies, is that you can beat them low. And
Yeah.
ironically, I've talked with a lot of tall goalies, and ironically, they all say the same thing. Like I work so hard on those low
Hmm.
shots because I see so many low shots that like it
Not
ends
get
up
them.
being a strength of mine. Is it now a strength of
Exactly.
yours?
I would say so. Yeah, it's definitely becoming of strength. Still always working on things, but definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Do you do specific? You mentioned kind of like hip strength and
Mhm.
mobility. Do you do specific training for that?
Yeah, so at home, in the off season, I try to do a lot of extra training just so in season I don't have to worry about it too much. Lots of exercises. I go to a gym around here too, which has been awesome. I've been going since I committed. So wow, it's a
Hmm.
long time now, but yeah, so that's been great. And at school, we do a lot of different exercises, a lot of band work, things
Oh
like
yeah.
that for sure.
Yeah, band work is incredible. Just throw the band on, and
Definitely
there's so many drills you can do. Even like basically any type of shot, any
anything.
type of hand-eye
Yeah,
drill. Yeah, you throw the band on there, and
yeah.
it adds this extra level of resistance, right?
Yeah, even you can do that in the backyard too, whether that's on your own or if you have someone throwing tennis balls at you while you're moving laterally, things like that. Anything can help.
Yeah, I love that. What would you say? I always ask goalies about their favorite uh, part of being a lacrosse goalie. You mentioned the leadership. What about the least favorite part for you?
Oh, my teammates will laugh, but definitely in practice, like you're just getting some days you just seem to get hit with the ball more than often. And those thigh shots, if you get a couple in the same spot in the same practice, those are just the worst. But
Yeah.
you know, and then in a game though, when you get hit, you don't even feel it. So it's just that like balance of I guess that's the cost of being a goalie is you're gonna get hit with lacrosse balls every so often.
That's got to be it, right? I don't know any
Yeah,
lacrosse
yeah,
goalie who would not say that because there's just certain days where like you're not feeling it,
yeah.
and you get hit, in the thigh or what have you, and then to add insult to injury, maybe the coach is like, "You need to step," and you're like, "Oh my,"
You're like, I'm
like
still getting hit. Yeah, especially
I'm still
preseason
nursing
when
this.
all they do is shoot. Yeah, yeah. But you know what? It's all worth it. It's good practice. But I'm
Yeah.
trying to think freshman year, my preseason, there's just a couple weeks of that where you're getting hit all the time. And so my trainer actually made these little like foam pads that I would just wrap around my legs in any spot that I used to get hit in a lot. And that actually helped a lot because I think just your mental side of that too. Once you get hit a lot, I don't want to say you don't want to step as much, but sometimes you can become a little hesitant. So just having some of that extra padding or just kind of keep you mentally sane when you're getting just peppered.
Yeah. Speaking with the theme of padding, I've seen pictures of you. You wear shin guards in the games, yeah?
I do, yeah.
Talk to me about that. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I know a lot of college goalies don't, especially on the women's side. Yeah, so my freshman year when I came in, one our defensive coach, it basically was a rule that we had to wear shin pads. A year before, Bridget, our old goalie, she
Mm.
got pretty hurt by a shot, like kind of busted up her shin. So from then on, they were just like shin pads in practice, like that has to be mandatory. It's practice. You don't want to get hurt. And then it just kind of stuck in games. I didn't want to practice any or play any differently than I practiced. And then, I mean, my legs are so long that I don't really think it makes a huge difference having them on. But at this point, I've just played with them for so long that I really don't want to take them off. And even the days that I did in high school, I still have lumps in my shins from getting shot on. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm a huge advocate of the shin guards. I know some goalies are not, but like I played soccer growing up, and like you always wear
Yeah.
you always wear shin guards when you play soccer. And it's not like there's way more running and way more moving in soccer than there is as a lacrosse goalie. So this argument of like
Seriously.
the shin guards are going to slow me down, like I don't know, I'm not buying it. It sounds like you
No,
don't feel slow in your shin guards.
no. Mine are actually soccer shin guards. I know obviously younger goalies, there's not specifically lacrosse shin pads, but I played with field hockey ones for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to kind of before you need to get comfortable, I feel like, when seeing shots at first. And then maybe once you start to not be as scared of the ball, you could take them off. But I just
Yeah.
think at the college level, kids are shooting so hard that I feel like it's not worth taking them off.
Yeah. I do tell the kids that I coach, if they want to take them off in the games, they can. But to your point, like practice how
Totally.
sometimes you get used to it.
Yeah.
But in the games, like for one, you see way less shots, right? Like
Yeah,
how many shots
definitely.
do you see in a game? Like 15, 20 shots? Like that is, you
Yeah.
see 200 in a practice. So like you're 10x
It's
more
like,
likely to get hit.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So shin guards for the win. And I'm glad that you're doing that, because a lot of goalies, like the only taste of like the upper level goalies that they see are like the games, right?
Yep.
And so they see these girls and these guys, for that matter, not wearing shin guards because it's the games, and they go, well, I want to be like Lilly, like someone so and so, and or Scotty Rogers
Yeah.
or Adam Gittleman or Brett Dobson, who are not wearing shin guards, and so I don't want to wear them. But know that a lot of
Yeah.
these goalies, especially when they were like their age, when they were really young, actually did wear shin guards and still do in practice.
Yeah. Like, be yourself, whatever's comfortable for you.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Everyone's got their own style. So,
There you go. So Lilly, when did you first realize that like, oh, hey, I could play lacrosse in college?
yeah, definitely. I touched on this earlier, but so going into high school, that was right when the rule changed for me. So I was in that grade where some kids were already committed, some hadn't talked to coaches yet, and then everything went dark.
Mm,
So end of eighth grade, I got a couple of calls from some smaller schools, and I didn't really know if I wanted to play in college because at that point I really just started playing, and so
right.
I feel like I hadn't been in high school yet, and there's just a lot of unknowns and questions. But as I continued to play more, around like end of freshman year, sophomore year, I was like, okay, like I'm getting better, I'm developing. Like I definitely see a future for myself, and I really enjoyed playing in the tournaments with my club team. I was like, oh, this is what college lacrosse is like. Like, why not?
Mm-hmm.
So then, the summer going into before junior year, that big summer, played really well. And then September 1 came around, and more coaches called than I thought, honestly. And
Wow.
I think it was a really cool experience because not only are coaches trying to sell you to you, but you're trying to sell yourself and find the best match for you. So long story short, I think the rule was great for me because I had
Yeah.
time to develop. Because honestly, if that didn't happen, I think I would have been on a different path for me.
Yeah. Interesting. And just for those listening, so they made the NCAA made the rule change where now you cannot be contacted by a D1 coach until September 1st of your junior year. And like you're saying, like it used to be people committed eighth grade. And it sounds
Yeah,
like you even had maybe started that and then they changed it. So it's like, all right,
yeah.
now we can't. So how did you get calls already at eighth grade? Did you like play a lot of sports and like were really athletic and really tall and that was kind
Yeah.
of the reason?
Yeah, I've always played sports growing up. I played
Yeah.
hockey for a long time. My dad played hockey in college, so that was kind
Oh,
of a
cool.
natural thing for me. Played basketball a little bit. I'm not very good at jumping, though, so that didn't last too long. Played field hockey, all the sports. So I had that like vision, and like my hand speed's always been there and things like that. So I'm very coachable. So if
Mm,
I just want to learn as much as I can, and tried to be a sponge that year, and because a lot of different coaches had a lot of different things to say. So try things out and just try to make my own kind of way and style. So yeah,
interesting.
I definitely had a long way to go, but I think my athleticism definitely helped in that period of time.
Yeah. One thing that I love that you mentioned there is I'm very coachable. I feel like I was that way when I was growing up as an athlete too. What
Yeah.
to someone who's like not coachable, what do you say to that young goalie?
I think that you're lucky to have someone older than you and probably experienced that has the wisdom to share with you, and so why not listen? And I always think, like, try everything, try something that someone says, and if it doesn't work, great, you don't have to use it, but who knows, it might work and it might level up your game, and I think that's so exciting. And so I always think, like, there's no harm in trying something and listening to someone else, because you never know what can happen. If it goes well, great. If not, then no harm done.
Right. Right on. You nailed it. I wouldn't add anything else. Yeah, that's perfect. Because you
Nice.
you also, like, especially as a goalie, if you're going to like different camps or you're working with
Totally.
different coaches, you might get different coaching. And
100%.
most coaches are like just doing the best that they can and like trying to teach you the best that they know, but some of them, might teach you something that doesn't work for you, right? And so like try it
Yeah,
out, really give it like, be respectful to that coach, try it out, ask them like clarification questions if you need to, like
totally.
why do you want me to do that? Why should I do that, right?
Yeah.
And then
And
yeah, if it
there's
doesn't if it
yeah,
doesn't work, chat with the coach and be like, hey, I'm gonna go with the wide base stance. Like I feel way more comfortable with it. It works better
totally.
for me.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different styles of goalie play. Like, some things will work for some person, not another. I mean, I'm 6 feet tall and I used to coach a girl who was 5'2". And so I'd be like, hey, this works for me. It may not work for you, but do you want to give it a shot? I feel like it could be potentially a positive addition. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, I love it. Cool. And then so you played hockey growing up. That's a great sport for
yeah.
the lacrosse transitions are pretty obvious, right? It's like hand eye.
Yeah.
You're like
Yeah.
pushing off with your hips, and kind of that's the idea of making a save.
Totally. Yeah.
So yeah, so I imagine hockey played a big role in your goalie game.
Yeah, definitely. I think I stopped playing probably 8th grade, just when lacrosse started to pick up, and I played field hockey in high school, which a lot of girls in my high school who played field hockey played lacrosse. So it was kind of
Mm-hmm.
because, like you said, there's similar fields and just style of sport. But I think playing a lot of sports is awesome. You learn a lot from different types of sports and leadership roles and things like that. Yeah, so I loved playing hockey, but lacrosse definitely was my favorite at the end of the day, obviously.
Yeah. Now, were you a field hockey goalie too, or you played in the
No,
in? Okay.
no, I actually played forward and then defense. So it was kind of fun, a little something different to
All
score
right.
goals rather than get scored on. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Cool. So then Notre Dame comes calling. Are they one of the calls that you get on September 1st? And what was it about their program that intrigued you so much?
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, they weren't really on my radar prior to September 1. I'd been to a couple of clinics that the coaches were there, but never actually been to the school. And when they called, everyone, like family, was like, you have to go to campus. Like, you don't understand. It's a special place. You have to go. And I knew that going into it, but as soon as I stepped on the campus, like, it was just incredible. People and just the scenery. And also academics were huge for me. I really loved school, so that was a big part of making my decision at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's amazing. I still have on my bucket list, by the way, to see a football game at Notre
Yeah.
Dame. Have you been?
Yeah. Yeah, and on our visit, we went on a
Oh,
game and it was,
yeah,
yeah, it was
awesome.
awesome. Just standing up there with all the people in the stands, like, it's just crazy how you could fit so many people in one place. Yeah, so it was really special that weekend.
Yeah, amazing. Wow. Yeah, what a way to recruit to recruit the new recruits, right? Take them to a
Yeah,
football game.
definitely.
Amazing. Um, cool. And then so talk to me about then, going to Notre Dame. Does your goalie game change? Do they try to change around your style? Did you adapt it because of the speed? Like how did your game change, if at all?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I think most college goalies would agree with me. The first week of practice was definitely a little intimidating just because you're playing with girls that are much older, faster shots, faster pace in general.
Mm-hmm.
But it was almost exciting because at the same time, you're like, wow, like I can hang with these people. Like, this is awesome. I'm in the right spot. So that year, lots of learns for me for sure. Worked a lot on my low saves, my technique and footwork was a huge thing for me. So not huge changes in my game, which I think is pretty awesome. Being my coaches were great because I know some programs really change the way you play, but they were very adamant about keeping my style and just working on different things like footwork and speed and things like that. So the whole idea was that I got that far with the way I was playing, so didn't need to change too much yet, just make things a little bit better in different areas.
Yeah, love it. What would you say you're we're now in the off season 2023. What would you say, like,
Yep.
what part of your game are you working on the most right now? Is it still those low shots?
No, I'll never not work on low saves, honestly. But
Yeah.
I think footwork, I can never be too quick with my feet. I think that's a constant thing I'm always working on. Um, like, you can never have too much hand speed work, especially on the move. Like, we do a lot of ladders with like, not shots, but ball tosses. Going through the ladders is huge. So
Oh
just kind of
yeah.
repetition and to get that muscle memory down is super important.
What are some of your other just favorite drills in general?
Yeah, definitely. We do a lot of we'll use the wall at school too, and so I'll be turned around facing the net, and my coach will say go, and then you turn around, and then she'll shoot on the wall. So it's a quick like
Mm.
reactionary thing. So lots of that stuff because in our game, I feel like it's all quick reactions to either flipping or across the crease and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great drill. That's a great drill. And just
Yeah,
and just like picking up the ball as soon as you can, tracking that
yeah,
thing all the way into your stick. That's
definitely.
great. I always like to ask the lady goalies about the 8-meter play, because it's
Mhm.
very unique to the women's
Totally.
game. What what's your approach? Do you know 8-meter shot gets foul gets called, right? What
Yeah.
goes through your mind? You got a ritual? How do you handle that play?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I think 8 meters is one of my favorite part of the game. I know that's kind of a unique take, but I just think that it's such a fun challenge. And honestly, like, the attackers should probably score most of the time, but that save is just even more rewarding than a normal save, I think. So whenever someone gets fouled, about to get on the 8 meter, I always set up in my specific way. I definitely bait a little bit to one side. And just kind of in that moment, focus on the ball, like, don't look at the body language, just really watch the ball because at such a high level, like, girls are going to look a different way and shoot the other way, or just throwing stick fakes and things like that. So just kind of try to stay locked in on the ball and not think about too much else.
Yeah. I remember asking, I forget who it was at this point, but it was someone like going against, it wasn't Charlotte North, but it was one of those girls who does the little like Charlotte North kind of wind
The
up.
windmill kind of,
Yeah, the
yeah.
windmill type of thing. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah,
Like, how do you like what are you looking at? And you're like, well, she told me, she's got to stop at some point, like before she shoots. And so then, like, you just pick up
yeah,
the ball right out of the stick, and it's just like any other shot. And it sounds like what you're describing right now is see that ball, right?
yeah. And I think too, like, trusting your body. I mean, we practice so much, not just 8 meters in general, just so many shots that so many times my body will just move. And I'm like, wow, like, I didn't even realize that's what I was going to do. But I just, like, naturally go towards the ball. And I think that comes with knowing how much I've practiced and, like, being confident with all of my practice behind
Mm.
before the game, and even like years of practice in general, and trusting the preparation ahead of time.
Yeah. Could you take me through like a week, what a normal week of practice looks like for you guys? Maybe like on a game day. Say you got a game on
Sure.
Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously during season, like, we have to lighten up loads just because we've got a big game and that's when you want to hit your peak performance. So usually in the beginning of the week, we'll do some scout during one of the days, and then we'll start with like a really heavy like cognitive practice. That's what we call them. So lots of thinking, and we'll go on our defensive side and kind of walk through different scenarios and things like that. And then as we progress towards the game day, then we'll start picking it up and doing more live action things, but constantly stopping to be like, hey, like, this scenario will happen, we need to adjust X, Y,
Mm,
and Z.
yeah.
um, so usually earlier in the week it's more heavy on shots for me, particularly just to kind of see the ball, get my body moving, and then as we get closer to game day, definitely more lighten up just so the body feels good going into game day.
Yeah. And then are you like running and lifting as a team as well? Is that a part of it, like during the week?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So we usually have a couple lifts a week. But going into game week, they're definitely more lighter, like
Lighter. Yeah.
mobility lifts versus
Right.
like heavy, like we're squatting today.
Right.
which
Like
is
you don't
different
want,
than the fall. Yeah. But
go ahead.
yeah, so the fall will definitely like have a lot more heavy lifting, heavy practice just to kind of, gain that muscle and build your bodies up for the season.
Yeah. Like I went to the gym yesterday. I lifted my back pretty hard and like I feel it. Like I'm kind of
Yeah.
sore in my
Yeah.
back. And like you don't want to be that. Like I wouldn't want to play a lacrosse game feeling like that, right?
Yeah. No, this
Um,
season I got pretty good at like rolling out and taking care of my body because especially like playing more definitely takes a toll on your body. And I feel
yeah,
like, yeah, the recovery is just as important as building it up too.
it is. Do you guys like stretch and do or yoga or something like that?
We do a lot of stretching.
Yeah.
We have like our pre-game lifts are basically all like stretching and mobility series, which is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, and also like our facilities are always open. Our trainer's always there too for extra like ice bathing or normateching and things like that.
Oh yeah, those boots. I've
Yeah,
seen,
they're awesome.
I've seen them. Are they? I've seen them. I've never tried them.
Yeah, no,
Um,
they're pretty good.
one day, one day. I love it. Well, congrats on a great season. You guys had a really strong
Thank you.
season. Talk to me about the season. Usually, for a lacrosse goalie, or for any team for that matter, but I guess mostly for lacrosse goalies, there could be a point where you hit a slump. Did that happen to you? And how do you think about getting out of that?
Yeah, I think for the season, like starting for the first time is a lot different than some previous goalies who've had a lot of years under their belt.
Hmm.
Feel like I was ready. I was very confident in myself coming into the season. But yeah, so I think my main goal is to try to stay as consistent as possible, which I feel like a lot of goalies do. But obviously, you're not going to play your best game every game, but it's kind of how you respond in the next one. Um, so I wouldn't say I necessarily hit a slump. There were definitely a few games where they weren't my best performances, but I feel like I did a pretty good job of turning it around in the next couple of games or making the saves that count, even in those games that you weren't doing great.
Hmm.
I always think back to our UNC game, which was awesome, like probably one of the biggest wins of the season. And it definitely was not my best game, but I made a couple saves at the end that really like we clinched the win in that sense. And I think kind of shows that even if it's not your best performance, you just have to be ready for the next shot because you still have an opportunity ahead of you no matter what happened in the past.
Great point. Great point. Yeah, I mean, you could have, you could have given up 12 goals in the game and have two saves, and you make that save at the end, and you win the game, right? And so it's
Exactly. Yeah.
really not about the whole number of saves. Sometimes it's just about when you make those saves. So
Yes.
it's a great way to look at it. What do you say? Consistency is a question that I get quite a bit. Young goalies
Mhm.
ask me about consistency. We're like, some days I'll show up and like making all
Yeah.
the saves, and other days I'll show up and like I can't save a beach ball,
Get it
right?
together. Yeah.
What would you say to those goalies? What are your tips for remaining more consistent?
Yeah, definitely. It's so hard in our sport, especially in our position. But I'd say on the days that you are feeling great, you're making all those saves. Think about what that feels like. What are you doing? What are you thinking about? Is there something particularly pregame that you did that was different? And I think then just try to recreate that as much as possible. I feel like whenever I'm in a slump or not doing so hot, I always remind myself, just watch the ball. Like make your job as simple as possible. So I feel like sometimes when we get scored on a lot, you're thinking about so many other things rather than just watch the ball. So I think just trying to get in a rhythm and figure out what works best for you, um, both post game, in game, after being scored on, and things like that.
Genius. That is genius. Yeah, I
Yeah,
am. I totally agree. I'm
yeah,
a big advocate of journaling, for that
yeah,
reason. Like, so like, after like a great
totally.
game or a great practice, like, just write down some thoughts of like what you did, or like, the feeling, try and
Totally.
capture that feeling, and right, you can go back and read that and sort of relive that, right? Like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I did when I was playing so great, or oh yeah, that's how
well,
I was thinking about it, right? That's what I was focusing
exactly.
on, right? That's where my head was. Um,
Yeah, we have
and
an awesome sports psychologist at school, so he's been great and asked the same questions like, "What were you feeling in that moment?" And
yeah,
most of the times I say, "I'm like, well, I wasn't thinking at all when I was playing well," and he's like, "Well, no, you're thinking about something," and I was like, "Well, I'm watching the ball." He's like, "So that's it. That's you're just keeping it simple." versus the games I don't play well, I'm worried about the defense, or oh my gosh, this slide, or oh shoot, that girl. And it just, I overcomplicate things in those moments. So just trying to bring it back and simplify a hard job.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
You know, when you ask a goalie like what they were thinking about during a great game, a lot of times it's exactly what you said. It was like, well, I wasn't really thinking about anything. I was just having fun and watching that ball. And then you ask them what they were thinking about, during the bad moments or the bad streaks, and it's like, oh, if I let this one in, I'm gonna let down my team, or like my dad that's sitting in the audience, or so and so, and it's just all these other thoughts that are not that thing. Yeah, exactly. So cool. What a great resource that you guys get in that sports psychologist. What other kind of things is he or she telling you?
Yeah, he's been awesome. He came to a lot of our practices this year, which is great, doing different visualization, things like that, team building exercises. So it's been awesome. Just kind of getting us in the right mindset, especially before playoffs and things like that. So I know we're lucky to have that resource, but really anyone you feel comfortable talking to is an awesome way to kind of get out your feelings and kind of go through your thought process, both prior to a game, after a game, things like that.
Yeah. What's his name? I'm gonna have to get him on the show.
Yeah. Joey Raymaker. Yeah. He's our sports psych at Notre Dame.
Joey Rainmaker?
Raymaker. Yeah.
Raymaker. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Very cool. Like I said, congrats on a great season.
Thank you.
Let's see. You guys made it to the ACC final, losing to Boston College. Gosh, they were good this year, huh?
Yeah, we lost them 3 times. Yep.
Yeah. That's tough. It's tough playing a team 3 times, but yeah, when they get the better of you. But you guys made a good tournament run, and as you mentioned, lost again in the quarters against BC. But next year, right?
Yeah. Hey, exactly. Next one's the one that's important.
There you go. Now, how many years do you have left? Because you're going to be a junior?
I'm going to be a senior. So this will be my last year. I don't have another year.
Gotcha. So this is it. We're going into the last one.
This is it.
All right.
Yep.
Anything you're doing special to prepare for that, or is it just business as usual?
Business as usual. I mean, I've been training hard every summer, just kind of going into the same way, giving it everything I got. So
yeah,
I don't really think that mindset's changing at all. Like, there's still things I'm working on, still things to grow, and obviously things to keep going. So yeah, just kind of giving everything I have this summer before my last year, which is crazy to think about.
Oh, I know. It goes fast, huh?
It goes by so fast.
I love it. Very cool. Any other stories from the team that we need to talk about? I feel like we covered your experience there pretty good, but I'm open.
Yeah, no, I think you covered it. I'm trying to think if there's anything crazy. Yeah.
I know before we hit record, you were saying you did go to, you watched the men's team who won the national championship. Liam played out of his mind. Do you know Liam, by the way?
I do. Yeah. We're friends. He's awesome. I'm so happy for him. And of course he plays his best game, the last one, the one that matters. He's awesome.
Yeah. Talk to me about the experience, because you went to the game, the national championship game. Talk to me about that experience.
Yeah, I was at the Virginia game, so the semifinal game and the final game. A lot of my teammates and I went, which was awesome. It was really cool. It was really awesome to see how many people were in attendance for both games. I've never seen that many people there for a lacrosse game, which is so exciting to see how much the sport is growing and everything like that. But that final game was awesome. I think after the Virginia game, everyone was just like, we're gonna win now.
Right.
Like, you can't make it to the final game and lose. And even though the game was a little back and forth at a couple of points, we were all like, they're fine, they're gonna win, like, this is gonna be awesome. They have such awesome players on their team. A lot of people stepped up, and seeing their faces afterwards was incredible. Like, they were just so happy, and I'm really happy for all of them.
Congrats to the men's team and to Liam. He's awesome. I had him on the podcast. I've had him on the podcast twice, and I released the second episode the day of the championship. So he got the Lax Goalie Rat podcast bump. Yeah. I'm not going to take credit for it, but hey,
Yeah,
it did not
18
hurt.
saves.
It
Yeah.
did not hurt.
Seriously.
And yeah, and that Virginia, so they were like, there was one save like towards the very end where I think they were down by like 2 or 3 goals, and he makes
Yeah.
this like stuff right, one-on-one save, and it's like at that point they come back and win, and I'm like, how could they not win in the finals after that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Power
No, he's a
of the
special
goalie,
guy.
right?
Yeah, seriously. I'm always rooting for goalies. Yeah.
There you go.
GST. Yeah. Things like that.
GST, the goalie money, what's it? Goalie money team?
Goalie money team. Yep.
Are you a member of the GST?
Even though it started with the guys team, us girls try to sometimes, we're like, oh yeah, like we're a part of it too. We got some of the t-shirts, things like that. Yeah.
All right.
Grow the nation. Yeah.
All right. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Lilly, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to get to know you, hear a little bit about, your career and how you developed as a goalie. What about the stick setup? What do you go with?
Yeah, so I have soft mesh on my stick right now, and then I have just the 2 shooting strings up top. Kind of fiddled around with that for a while. I had 3 at one point, but stuck back with 2, which I've been really happy with this year. I think it just gives me a little bit more range than the 3 did. But
yep, and an STX Eclipse too.
Yep.
With with an attack shaft.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, because I've broken a couple heads too. So, I always have to have the backups ready. Just going from the cold weather to the warm weather always seems to just snap heads. Especially in Indiana with unknown weather.
Yeah, because when you guys start playing, just to talk about the weather, when you start playing, especially in fall ball, like it's cold, right? Snow?
Cold, snow, yeah.
Ooh.
We also have the indoor field, which is great. We definitely try to play outside as much as possible, but there's been games where there's like a couple inches of snow on the ground and we just can't do it. But yeah, so especially going from being inside for a while, going outside when it's freezing temperatures, like the stick head just always snaps on those low saves, unfortunately. But
yeah. Are there any tips you'd share about playing in the snow specifically for goalies?
Yeah, I'm a big sweatpants person if you can. Why not? Like you just can cover a little bit more ground and keep your legs covered as well. The rubber gloves too are always a good idea under your regular gloves if it's really that cold, just so you can grip the stick, because obviously your hands are probably one of the most important parts of your game. Yeah, so I mean, we're lucky we can have sweatpants on and not be running around, but
yeah. Stay warm. Stay warm. That's the tip.
Stay warm. Yeah. Whatever you need to do, leggings, underneath the sweatpants, whatever you need to do.
Okay. There's this company, Wickers. I'll see if they can send you a free pair. That's like they're like underliner gloves for the thing. Anyway, they sponsor this newsletter that I do. I'll see if they can send you a pair.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, send me the link. I definitely want to check that out.
Okay. And do you get your heads strung by the sidewall Jedi? I feel like that top string is just so recognizable.
Yeah, so honestly, at school, we just kind of, our director of ops gets them done. So possibly, because it's the same guy who does the guys' heads.
Who does Liam's?
Possibly. So
it is. So his name's the Sidewall Jedi. He's awesome. Lars.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a character, and he's presented at the goalie summits that I've done, the events, and he's great. He's a really great guy. Yeah. But anyway, he does this like special top string, and it's like so. Okay. It's kind of like looking at a Mozart, or not Mozart, like a Picasso. Like that I know who that is. I recognize that.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, Lilly, like I said, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Awesome to get to know you. If you had to lead the goalies out there with a final piece of advice, what would that be?
I think just work on your game and be you. Don't take too much of anything else and just work on your own style, and whatever works for you is what's best for you. And just always practice. You can never over practice. Get that muscle memory down, because it'll help out in the end, and you can feel confident in your preparation in the end.
Love it. Lilly, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.